In this week's gospel, Jesus talks to us about justice and giving other people what they deserve. Right? So this gospel story begins with the Pharisees coming to Jesus with some very falsely flattering words. Right? They come to Jesus and they say, "Teacher, we know you're a truthful man and that you teach the way of God in accordance with all truth, and you're not concerned with anyone's opinion, for you don't regard a person's status." They don't mean any of that. Right? They're trying to trick Jesus. That's the whole point of this thing. And so they ask him this question: is it lawful to pay taxes or not? Right? And they're doing this because in Jesus' day, the Jewish people in Israel were oppressed by the Romans. They hated paying taxes to the Romans and supporting their oppressors. And so if Jesus says, yeah, it's okay to pay taxes, people are going to hate him. But if he says it's not okay to pay taxes, he's a revolutionary and the Romans are going to hate him, and now he's in big trouble. And that's what the Pharisees are hoping for, right? Either turn the people against Jesus or turn the Romans against Jesus. Either way, it's a win for the Pharisees because Jesus is out of the picture, right? He loses his credibility and his influence. Jesus has this very wise answer, right? He asks for a coin and he says, whose image and inscription is on this thing? And they say, that's Caesar's. And so Jesus says, well, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God, right? Meaning that we are created in the image and likeness of God. The coin is created in the image and likeness of Caesar. We're created in the image and likeness of God. And so he says, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Taxes do in fact belong to the government. We can have lots of healthy debates about what should be taxed and how much tax is just and all that sort of thing, but all of us as citizens of a nation paying into some common pool to support the common good, that in principle is a good thing. And Jesus affirms that in this gospel. But he also says we should give to God what belongs to God. Right? And so the overarching principle of this passage here in this gospel: give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, give to God what belongs to God, give to your friends what your friends should reasonably expect from you. That is your support and your loyalty and your encouragement for them to do good and not to do evil. Right? That's what a good friend is. We give to our spouse what belongs to our spouse, their conjugal rights, and our time and our attention and our affection. Right? We give to our siblings what belongs to our siblings, and that is our support as good and healthy siblings, to encourage them to be their best, build them up when they're torn down, encourage them to do good and to avoid evil, all that good stuff. And give to God what belongs to God. We call that the virtue of religion. Right? In our culture today, we like to talk about religion as if it's this bad thing. It's a purely external practice, and it doesn't really mean anything. Well, no, traditionally the word religion refers to a virtuous act of giving to God what belongs to God. What belongs to God? My heart, my devotion, my worship. If God is actually God, if he is the creator of the universe, he's the guy that's in charge, he's got good things in store for me, then on some level I owe him my reverence and my respect and my worship and my prayer. I owe him some time out of every day. I owe him some of the money that I bring in. I owe him some of my time and attention. I owe him to try to follow his commandments. I owe him weekly worship as he has commanded me. That's the virtue of religion, is giving to God what belongs to God. That's Jesus' big challenge today. So the big challenge for us is, what do we owe to God, and are we giving it to him? And what should we give to God that we're maybe not giving him, or we should give him more of? Are we giving him enough of our time and attention? Do we show up at Mass in our bodies, but our minds are somewhere else, thinking about the soccer game or the football game we're going to watch on TV or the picnic we're doing afterwards, right? Are we there to worship God? Or are we just there in a body to check a box and say, yeah, I went to Mass this weekend? We got to give God what is his due, what we owe him as his creatures. And that's the challenge of this week's gospel.